The other day when we met for Tech Wednesday, we went over Google Forms and how to use it to make a quiz or how to use it to make a survey. Today I want to go over real quick, after you've done your quiz or survey, it's going to generate for you a spreadsheet. And the one I'm going to click on today it's for a geography quiz. This is a sample that they send out, but I'm going to click on it. You can see what it looks like. So you've made up your quiz, and what will happen is it'll give you the first name and the last name of the student, the email address of the student, and it'll also give me all of the answers. Anytime that you make a quiz, you are going to want to make sure to take it yourself as the teacher, because that first line then will be your answer key. The Flubaroo program needs that in order to know what the correct answers are, and it will use that to compare those answers. So after you've done this, you want to click on Tools. If Flubaroo is not installed, in this case it's already installed, but normally for you when you log in, Flubaroo is not going to be an option after the word Help. In order to make that an option, we have to go to Tools, click on Script Gallery, and when you go in here, this is a cool thing to search on your own to kind of see what kind of scripts are out there, because they add different functions to Google Forms. There's a lot more that Google Forms can do. We're keeping it kind of simple for now and just sticking to basic quizzes, but just know that there's a lot of features in Google Forms that you can use later. For our purposes, though, we know we want to use Flubaroo, so I'm going to type in Flubaroo under search. And it's going to pop up here. And anything relating to Flubaroo will pop up. So down here is Flubaroo. It's already installed, so I'm not going to do it now because it won't let me do it because it's already installed. But you'll see this install button. When you click on it, it will install like a normal program. But what it does is it's installing it into your Google Forms. When you are done installing it, it will have a pop-up window that says that it needs authorization. You want to click Continue and follow the directions there because you want to approve the authorization. The reason why it needs to authorize is because what Flubaroo does is when it's done grading, it gives you the option, if you would like to email the students your results. It also gives the option to email the students comments. So you definitely want to approve that so Flubaroo will work properly. I'm just going to click Close for all for right now, because for our purposes, Flubaroo is already installed. So now I'm going to go down to Flubaroo and click Regrade the assignment. Normally you'll just click grade the assignment, but it's going to look the same way. The only difference is it's giving me this message that I've got to replace my grades, and I'm going to click yes. But before I do that, let me tell you why you might need to regrade an assignment. If you had a student that was absent, for example, or maybe showed up late, and you did let's say you did a formative quiz at the beginning of class, and maybe somebody for whatever reason came in a few minutes late, and you want them to be a part of the formative quiz that you already graded. It won't change any of the grades, obviously, of the students who've already taken it, but it does give you the option to let that student take the quiz, and through Flubaroo to go in and regrade it so that student now is graded as well as a part of the group. So I'm going to click yes, that I want to regrade it. After it's done, it will have this first window popping up. This is an important window because it lets you decide on the point totals. You can go from anywhere from 1 to 5 points for each item. For my purposes, normally I like to have all of the questions with the same amount of points. But maybe for one of them, for some reason, you weight it a little bit heavier than the other questions. It's a more important detail, and you want to know, hey, how many of the class, how many of the members of the class actually scored better on that one? There's all kinds of reasons why it's adjustable to your needs for your classroom. So I'm just going to click Continue for right now because I want to leave them all the same amount of points. That's step one. Then step two, when it pops up, is to pick the one that's your answer key. In this case, it's Dave Teacher, which is the first one. And I do encourage you to take it first because it's so much easier to find it if it's just the first one. You know that every time you'll just click the first one and it's going to be you. Your name would be the one that's there. And when I click Continue, it's now grading the assignment for me. And as it's grading the assignment, you're going to see in the background, gradually the grades pop up. And then I'll just click X to close this. And now I can actually look and see how the students did. And we'll actually see the percentage totals, the total points, and actually things like summaries. If I scroll over, I can actually see summaries of how the students did, depending on the question type, which is really good information as well. You can see that students scored higher on Nashville as the capital of what state than the students did on Sacramento, the capital of California, that question. Now that we've gotten them graded, you have a few options on what you can do. You can move on and do your groupings if that's what you're using it for. Or if you want to take it a step further, When you click on Flubaroo, there's the option to email grades. There's an option to view a report. Emailing grades, let me show you how that works. When you click on emailing grades, it'll take a couple sections to run. And what it will do is give you the option to include a general message to everybody, to include an answer key if you wish. It'll go back to that first one and include the correct answers. So if you want to send it like as a formative quiz and you want to send to everybody the correct answers because maybe that night for homework you want them to think about the ones they got right, but also to know which ones they got wrong so they have that feedback. That would be a good reason to include the answer key. You can also include or choose to not include a list of questions and scores. So if you want to just have a basic overview of how they did, you can uncheck that and just have a basic overview without the details if you prefer to have like a smaller amount of information going home. Maybe there's a reason why you don't want the questions to be there with the student. You have the options to check or uncheck those. And then a message, general message to everybody. Then when you click continue, it will gradually compile an email, and it actually tells you how many were emailed. And it'll actually also tell you that one grade was not sent due to an invalid or blank email address, or because they've already been emailed their grades. So, and this one here, Ralph Wiggum, you'll see it says what's an email, which is not a valid email address, which is good feedback for you as a teacher to know, hey, when that student took it, they didn't put in their correct email address. Depending if you made a quiz where they didn't have to log in order to take the quiz, that way you know that that particular student didn't put in their email address. So hopefully you found this useful. I'm a big fan of Flubaroo because it does make things so much easier, especially if you're using it for formative purposes, you know, where you're doing like a simple 2 to 3 question quiz at the beginning or end of class just to get some immediate feedback. It's, in a very informal for a very informal purpose. It's a great way to inform your instruction without having to spend a lot of time on the management end of it. And if there's anything I can do further to help you with Flubaroo or with grading Google Forms, there are other options out there other than Flubaroo. There's lots of different choices available to do things with Google Forms. Please send me questions because I would be glad to help with any of them.